Hey guys, I was Joy here with Real Progressives. Tonight I am joined by a candidate for 2020. He is running in Wisconsin, 3rd District for the House of Reps. Please welcome Justin Bonner. Thank you so much for coming.
Great to be here.
So, what makes you get into running for House of Reps?
Well, Bernie Sanders inspired me while I was in college, and I made my first political donation ever to him. And then, you see AOC go up and win. And, she started off with nothing. She was a bartender. And then now she's one of the most influential politicians in America. And you got to stop and think, maybe I could be, even just a third of that, and that'd still be awesome. You don't even have to be, that influential. You just got to get up there and do what you can.
Absolutely. So since Bernie inspired you, does he get your 2020 endorsement?
Well, that goes to John Delaney, but Bernie's my second choice.
I understand. Hey, Delaney challenged Bernie to a debate.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
I don't know if Bernie heard about it. I hope he does because oh my God, that dude's crazy. He's already at 1%. I don't know why he wants to get his ass whooped. But
Well, I
anyway,
can't really go any lower.
yeah, exactly. So you are actually running against like a really corporate incumbent.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the person you're going up against.
Well, he's been in office since I was 1 years old, and he was in charge of the New Democrats coalition for a few years. And he takes corporate money, voted for the Patriot Act. And one of my policies, of course, is, getting rid of the Patriot Act, getting rid of the NSA completely. So I'd say we have a few differences there.
Is it just the two of you running?
Yep. So far, it's just the two of us. No one else is announced.
Interesting. So it's two Democrats, but really it's kind of like a Democrat and a Republican,
Pretty
essentially.
much. And it's a
Right,
pretty heavily gerrymandered district, so the primary decides who's going to be the representative pretty much.
right. So do you have any progressives in your area?
Oh yes, it is. There are progressives in the area. I had one guy I was canvassing, and he just volunteered on the spot to help with the campaign.
Awesome. So what are people telling you their biggest concerns are?
Well, I go around canvassing, and I'd say about for every person who's, a grumpy Republican who tells me that I'm an idiot or whatever, there's like three people who tell me they love my policies, especially the Medicare for All and the free public college. Those have been the most popular, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So why do you have Medicare for All on your platform? And furthermore, what kind of Medicare for All is it? Is it like Kamala, we're going to take 10 years and we're still going to have corporations involved? Or Senator Warren, who we're still going to have corporations involved, but we're just going to kind of waver and make it sound like Bernie's or like Bernie's?
No, it's full single payer, you know, no need for private health insurance companies. They don't really add anything.
Okay, awesome. So why specifically do you have that on your platform?
I really don't like the idea of people dying because they can't afford their insulin. And the greed of the pharmaceutical companies and the greed of the health insurance companies. I mean, you think about a health insurance company, what do they really do? All they do is move money around between people, and they take a cut of the profits. So
Yeah.
if you have a single payer system, you basically have the same thing, except you don't have somebody taking their cut. It's just intrinsically a better system.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you have free college. Is that something, do you yourself have college debt?
I'm actually very lucky in that I don't have college debt, but I know a lot of people aren't that lucky. So actually my policy is full free public education from, preschool all the way up through, medical school if people want it.
Right on. Do you notice that there are a lot of people in your district who would like to get their kids preschool, but just simply don't have the funds?
I haven't encountered anybody like that yet, but I bet they're out there. So
I'm
far, I've
sure.
canvassed. I just started canvassing about 2 weeks ago. Covered about, I want to say 120 people who have actually answered the door and accepted a flyer. So number of
Oh,
houses
right
I've
on.
knocked on, probably two and a half times that.
Now, do you guys have an open primary?
Yes, we are fortunate to have an open
Ooh.
primary here.
Lucky suckers, you. Oh man, I'm in Pennsylvania and I just like, I salivate when somebody says they have an open primary. I'm like, oh, you lucky bastards. It sucks. It really sucks not having one. Cindy, yes, Justin got into the race because he supports, Bernie inspired him. So yeah, now you know damn right well I'm not going to have anyone but a burner on this show. I'm trying to be more open, but Bernie's got to at least be a possibility for someone because they're his ideas. Um, so do are you meeting a lot of people in your area who are, just sick of the status quo and they do, even people who aren't millennials, are they opening up to these ideas like Medicare for all and Green New Deal?
Oh yeah, in fact, the first house I knocked on was a guy who just read the policy sheet and just said, "Yep, yep, I like that. Yep." Because here I can show you the actual handouts that were given out right here. It's all it is. Whoops, drop that. All it is my name, what I'm running for, a list of policies and justifications for them, my website, and the primary date and the general election date. That's it. There's no picture of me smiling on there. There's no like me shaking hands or saying, "Hey, I
Yeah.
do this."
I noticed that immediately on your website. There's a picture of it's like a field or something.
It's a panorama of the city, and I just went downtown and took that myself. So I figured I
And
needed some
you know,
color on the website.
yeah, and that's so interesting because like 99% of politicians have, the shaking hands and holding babies and posing with their, stoic looking kids. And you just have, scenery. And I was like, wow, okay, so he really wants to focus on the issues.
Mhm.
So I think that's a really great idea. I can't say I've ever seen that really.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I follow the Kyle Kalinske line of thought there of just basically it's a policy sheet and my name
Yeah,
and
I
some
think that's a
contact
really
info.
good idea. So, as far as the Green New Deal, what are some of the things that you think are the most important and dire that we should focus on first?
Oh yeah, first there's a job guarantee. I think nuclear fusion research is really important because that's going to be a great form of green energy.
Uh-uh.
You might disagree with me on that one, but nuclear fusion is much better than nuclear fission.
Uh-uh.
It's okay
Uh,
if we disagree on one or two things there.
hey, Justin, your picture cut out. If you can hear me, can you just exit and come right back in? Yeah, he does, Gregory. It's on his platform. Sorry about that. I don't know what the hell happened. But anyway, you were discussing why you support a federal job guarantee.
All right, it's funny because I said I support a federal job guarantee, and then I said the next thing, and then you look like, oh no. I thought,
No, don't
oh
support
boy.
that.
Okay, so I said federal job guarantee, and I said nuclear fusion research because we got to have more forms of clean energy. And then
Yeah,
I went on. Actually, even got that Green New Deal is one of the things on my handout right there. And then I talk about investing and building all kinds of forms of green energy from hydro, solar, wind power, geothermal. I think geothermal is a fun one.
yeah, and then also like since we have, they say 11 years to, try to combat climate change. How else can we feasibly do that without a federal job guarantee?
Well, let's see. I guess we could construct a very large number of self-replicating air filtration pylons,
Oh, okay, cool. And how
otherwise
do
known as
we do that?
planting trees.
We're what is your standpoint? Oh, we talked about that, Gregory. He's for it. He's Medicare for all, like the true kind. So as far as federal job guarantee, why do you think that Bernie, out of 25 candidates, is the only one who supports a federal job guarantee?
Well, he's the only progressive. I wouldn't
Good
really consider
answer.
I wouldn't really consider Warren to be that much of a progressive, really. I mean, she'd
Mm-mm.
be better than most of the other candidates, but
That's not saying much.
mm,
Good answer. Yeah, I find it very disappointing because even people who say, oh, yeah, Green New Deal, they always talk about solar power, things like that. But federal job guarantee is a huge, huge part of it. And
oh
that's
yeah,
something we need. We're not going to be able to fix this shit. How is your infrastructure there?
absolutely. We got to invest in the infrastructure because our infrastructure is crumbling. We have to replace it, and hopefully this time, when we build it instead of post World War II, we build it to actually last for more than 50 years.
Yeah,
That
right
way, we don't
on.
have to come back every 50 years and completely rebuild it.
Yeah. Do you guys have a lot of farm?
We do have a lot of farms in this district. It's a fairly high land area congressional district. It stretches for roughly 150, 200 miles along the western Wisconsin border.
Oh wow. So
So it
what
goes,
are their concerns?
I mean, farmers are just like anybody else. They need health care, they need education.
Yeah.
They're just as affected by the climate, probably even more so, because
Yeah.
they don't want droughts, they don't want heat waves.
Yeah, absolutely. What else do you have on your platform that you're really excited about that you enjoy discussing with people?
A lot of stuff. For starters, my platform is pretty much a standard Sanders platform plus some other stuff. So I got ranked choice voting on there, which is
Yes.
great because I really hate the two-party system. Far too often are we stuck between two crappy choices.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's money out of politics in there. There's getting rid of the NSA. I think I mentioned that one before. I want to get rid of the CIA because how many problems in the world today are their fault?
Well, as far as ranked choice voting, we saw Maine did that.
Mhm.
It has potential to actually work really great. And Bernie even came out with it this time around, which I was surprised with, but very happy. And I want to say it's San Francisco. I could be wrong, but there is somewhere in California that will be trying it in the primaries, which is
That's
exciting.
great.
Speaking of which, you guys, I am doing a debate with all three Democratic candidates running against Pelosi on Saturday night. So don't forget that.
Ooh, that's great.
But
I'll have to
anyway,
watch that.
it's going to be insane. Um, but yeah, I mean, now where you are, do you guys vote by machine? Do you vote by mail? Is it one day or do you have early voting?
Yeah, I just go to the voting machines and like you fill out your ballot, you stick it in the machine, and then they hand you a sticker.
Do you think that it's reliable?
I, for one, support paper ballots because I'm a software engineer. I don't trust software, which probably tells you a
Very
lot.
valid. Absolutely. What are you going to have, like, how many polling stations are in your district? Do you know?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually don't know how many polling stations there are. It's pretty spread out,
Because what
but
I
there are.
try to tell my candidates, and it's not always feasible, but what I try to tell you guys is to at least try to have like one volunteer at each one just to kind of observe,
Mm,
not always feasible, but After what we saw in 2016,
I know what you
can't be
mean.
too careful.
We definitely, I wish that were feasible for us. If we had
Yeah,
that many volunteers, we would just knock on every single door in the district, and then I think we'd win that way.
yeah, right on. Now, so running as a Democrat, how, I mean, is it because you do think you can reform the party, or is it because you kind of know you can't win unless you do?
Maybe a little bit of half and half, but the main reason is that is the most direct route to get into Congress. Because if I run as a Democrat and I win the primary, that'll take about 30,000 votes, give or take. And if I were to theoretically run as an independent, I'd need about 10 times that.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times they charge fees too. Do they have a cost to run as independent?
I actually don't know.
A lot of states they'll charge you like $10,000 just to register to run as independent. It's absurd. They'll try anything. So before I started my show, I had no idea, and I'd be like, "Ew, they're progressive and they're running as Dem." But now I get it. I'm like,
Mm.
okay, so sometimes like that is the only way. Um, so as far as voting, what so if you guys have open primaries, you don't even have to worry about registrations or anything, which is good.
Oh, it's pretty great. We're not New York State.
Oh my God. What a clusterfuck. They are saying that now they don't have to do 10 months in advance
Mm.
registration. Now it's supposed to be shorter, but still it's
Only
still.
9 months in advance now.
Yeah, exactly. It's only 9.3% of a month. Yeah, it's just it's bananas. Um what what do you think about voting as a whole? I know you said paper ballots, ranked choice voting. What else do you think would help us get more progressives in as far as voting is concerned?
Well, I'd make voting day a national holiday. That would help a lot because, people got to work. They can't necessarily take off if they have to work, the entire day, if they got to work 2 or 3 jobs. And I wonder how the person working 2 or 3 jobs is going to vote.
Yeah. Or what about in places that do a caucus where you have
Mm.
to hang out there for 3 hours? That's daunting. That's exactly what happened last time. People just can't stay. So yeah, absolutely. I know you said take big money out of politics. Um, yeah, yeah, I agree, Greg. Um, as far as big money, what convinced you not to take it?
I never considered taking it at all. At no point would I even think, because if I was going to take big money, then why bother running? I could just, not run and nothing would change.
Yeah, I mean, you're the dude you're going against. He takes enough big money. Do you think he'll debate you?
I have no idea if he even knows I exist right now. I would
That's
assume so
awesome.
because he's got staff and I have registered with the FEC. But there hasn't been any sort of communication between us or anything like that.
He's probably presumptuous. No one would have the balls to run against him.
He
You know,
has won all the primaries he's been in by a fairly substantial margin, so he probably feels pretty safe.
what do you think about term limits?
I'm actually not a huge proponent of term limits because, sure, they might get rid of some, corporate Democrats and stuff, but they'd get rid of Bernie Sanders too.
That's exactly what I say. That's exactly what I say. I say wait till he wait till he retires and then do it. Yeah, because like Pelosi, Feinstein, oh please get rid of him. But then like Bernie, like who else do we have? No, don't get rid of him.
True. I don't want to have to, find a new AOC every 10 years or whatever.
I don't know, dude. She's I'm not sold on her anymore.
She
She
has had some bad takes, but I still think she's pretty good.
It'll all depend if she endorses Bernie.
Oh,
I'm not
I think she
confident
will.
she will.
I'm pretty convinced that she will. But, it's a pretty crazy world. Anything could happen.
Yeah. After Warren, I don't really trust people. So as far as yeah, if we get yeah, let's elect Byrne as president, then we'll enact term limits. As far as online, how do you encourage people to vote, or even in person? Because everyone pretty much feels very defeatist right now. So how do you encourage people who say, what's the point? My vote doesn't matter anyway.
It's still a pretty good open question, and if you have a solution to that, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I know, seriously. I'm kind of asking for myself too.
Right now, I'm trying to inspire them with big policy, but we'll see how well that works.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we do have to support progressives and we do have to vote, but at the same time, it is very disheartening, and it does take a lot to actually, build up the will to actually go out and vote.
The way I see it is, it doesn't take that long to vote. At least here, the
Yeah.
voting stations, in my experience, aren't very crowded. I mean, it usually takes me about 5 minutes to vote.
Oh yeah,
Once I
yeah,
get there, at least, you got to
absolutely.
drive over there.
You have let me see on your website. You have abolished ICE.
Yes, that is
Okay.
on there.
So what is your feeling on that? Why do you have that on your platform?
Well, concentration camps kind of piss me off.
Fair
It's a
enough.
fair statement. So I do want to abolish and prosecute the members of ICE that, are committing crimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, do you know about who voted for and who voted against the creation of it?
I don't know who voted for it. Oh.
I know Bernie voted against it,
Hmm.
but I got to look it up because there was someone who voted for the creation. I think I remember who it is, but I'm not going to say. But it's someone running for president. So I'm going to have to look that up, and I'll put it on Twitter if I'm right. But so what do you say to people who say we don't need to abolish ICE, we just need to reform it?
Well, at some point you can see the pictures of the crying kids, and if it just doesn't bother you, I don't know what to say. Either you
Yeah.
have empathy or you don't.
You just need like bigger cages and stuff. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
it's incrementalism.
maybe you give them, a toothbrush every other day.
Yeah, exactly. You have abolished the NSA and abolished the CIA.
Yes.
Now, I've heard people say stuff like this on social media, and I know a few of my friends feel that way. But I can't say I've ever really had candidates this outspoken on it. So, can you kind of explain why you're holding those positions?
I'm not sure if you're familiar with the LavaBit case, where LavaBit is an email provider. They got sent orders by the NSA to insert backdoors into their software so the NSA can read all the emails that they want to.
What?
Yep. And to make matters worse, the guy that ran it also got a gag order, so he wasn't allowed to talk about it.
Oh
Unless, of
my
course, he
God.
wanted to go to jail. So that whole system is completely broken, beyond reforming, and it's just got to go away.
Wow. Um, so is are you basing it on that one case, or just like what are some other reasons?
Well, the whole Snowden revelations, back, I think that was almost 10 years ago, those
Yeah.
made me pretty angry at the time. And, it helped get me more politically active and stuff, even though, 2011, I was 16. So I wasn't super politically active yet, but, everything along the road.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're only 27?
I'm 24.
Oh, you're 24. My word. Wow, you're accomplished. Already running for office. I'm 40 and I'm sitting in my spare bedroom with a camera.
You're doing good work. You're getting, publicity out to all of us.
No, what about the CIA? So we all have our issues with the CIA, but do you think that's feasible that it would get abolished?
Maybe. I mean, all the policies that I'm pushing for are things that, we might not get. It depends on, the majority we get in Congress. Is the majority we get progressive enough to get things done? Do we have a President Sanders or do we have a President Warren? I don't
Mm,
know. But I can tell you that I do want to get these things done and I will push for them. Now,
right.
it's true, we might not get them, but we might not get anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so let's see. Oh, okay. So you're talking about other countries here. Um, yeah, definitely check out his website, you guys. JustinBonner.com. That I can't believe that was still available. That's awesome.
I know,
That's
right? I was
really
amazed it was available too. I grabbed that up like
because I tried
6
to
months
find you
ago.
on Facebook and there were like 800 of you. I was like, this is not working. um, so you talk about workplace democracy. Are
Yes.
you in favor of unions?
Oh, yeah, unions are great. What I'm talking about mostly for the workplace democracy are worker cooperatives. And I think there's one policy that Sanders endorsed about having worker elected representatives on the boards of companies. And I completely support that. I think that's a great step on the way to more workplace democracy. I
Yeah,
will support basically any policy that increases the democratic control of the workplace.
yeah. Do you know what your minimum wage is in your state?
I think it's just the federal minimum wage, but I could be
Seven
wrong on that.
25.
If it's different, it's not much different.
Yeah, that's what ours is in Pennsylvania. It's an outrage. So are you supporting a fight for 15?
Oh, of course. I mean, I'm not suddenly
Yeah.
going to be like, well, actually, I want to lower the minimum wage.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hell, a progressive wouldn't, but the dude you're running against, I don't know. He'll tell us to cut back on our avocado toast. I don't know.
I've never even had avocado toast. I don't know what that tastes like.
I know. I don't want to know. Christine asks, "What about Biden?" I'm not quite sure what you mean. I mean, there's a lot about Biden. I just don't. I'm not understanding in what respect.
Well, for electing a professional hair sniffer, Biden is definitely my first choice.
Oh, yes. What and okay, this is like totally off topic. But what is with this gaff? Oh, there he did another gaff. No, he's racist. Stop. Like it's not a gaff. Stop saying it's gaffs. Dude is not right.
Well, it was just, a gaffe when he worked with segregationists. That's all.
Well, yeah, I mean
A gaffe is what you call it when they screw up, but you like them anyway.
yeah, exactly. Whereas like if Trump did that, oh my god. Or even
Trump
if
did
Bernie
that, it probably would
like,
barely make the news.
yeah. Oh
I
my
mean,
god.
Trump party's on the pedophile island, and that still barely makes the news.
Do they have a lot of political signs in your like in your district? Like a lot of presidential ones? Do you guys have a
I
lot
haven't
of stop
seen
signs?
I haven't seen too many presidential signs quite yet. I've seen a couple of Bernie signs. I actually
Yeah.
haven't seen I don't think I've seen any presidential signs other than Bernie signs yet, although I think some of them are 2016 Bernie signs.
Well, I don't think our new ones have really come out
Hmm.
yet. So that's okay. I'll forgive them. That's still good. That is still good.
I know
Um,
whenever I see a Bernie sign and I'm canvassing, I really hope that they're home.
yes, yes. Oh my God. Yeah, that was so fun when I canvassed for Bernie and like you'd go and there would be someone with a bumper sticker on their car. You're like, I got this house. Yes. That's
Of
always
course, sometimes
exciting.
you run across people and it looks like, man, these guys have like a vegetable garden. That guy looks like a hippie. I bet these guys are going to love it. And then you get there and they're hardcore Republicans.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Canvassing can be interesting for
Yeah,
sure.
totally depends who you run into. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
amazing, and then sometimes it's like, oof, boy, today.
So you go by yourself.
Yep, right now it's just me.
Uh, yeah, that was I did a few houses by myself until a guy like a Hillary supporter like literally chased me down
Mm.
the sidewalk and was like, "Don't ever come on my property. Shame on you for not voting for a woman." And and then two other like middle-aged white women, probably named Karen, came out. They were like, you know, as a woman, you should vote for a woman. And I was like, well, in the words of Susan Sarandon, I do not vote with my vagina. And that didn't go over well. So then I just went to the next block.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could definitely be interesting. But you know what? Like Trump supporters were actually really nice when we
Mm.
were campaigning. It was the Dem sycophants that were like, "Ugh."
I haven't met any Democrats yet who have tried to bite my head off
Yet.
yet. Of course, this congressional district did vote for Bernie in the primary, so
Ooh, you lucky. You are lucky. What else is on your platform? We went over everything on your website, but what else are you passionate about that you're going to try to work on?
shoot, I know there was some things. One thing I know I already talked about with you, but I haven't added it to my website yet, is the nuclear fusion research. So at least the way I see it is that's the ultimate green energy. Because when you think about it, that's where almost all the rest of the energy is coming from anyway, be it solar or wind or hydropower. Because, what moves the water up in front of the dam? That's evaporation from the sun. Solar power, obviously, and the wind wouldn't be moving without the heat from the sun. Really, only nuclear power and geothermal aren't from the sun. So, if you can just cut out the middleman and use nuclear fusion directly, I figure that's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. These innovative ideas are what is going to help us. That's why, with a federal job guarantee, we could have so many entrepreneurs coming out and starting businesses. Um, what about housing? Do you have affordable housing there?
I do support a public housing guarantee. So I don't like homelessness existing, period. I want to make sure that we have a guarantee so that if anyone needs a place to stay, we got one for you. And the same
Do
thing
you,
with all the other basic essentials for living, food and all that.
right. Do you support a cap on rent?
I think some rent caps are one of the things we need to do to lower rent. So rent caps are good. I think taxing any empty residences are another great way of doing it.
Ooh, that's interesting. I
So,
never heard of that.
if a landlord is keeping a bunch of apartments empty just so they can drive up the prices, bump up the property taxes, substantially on them, make them rent it out.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea because they definitely don't want to lose money.
Hmm.
Huh. Did you get a chance to read Warren's plan on her housing?
I have not read Warren's plan now.
Well, I'll give you a synopsis. It it says that it can save 10% within 10 years.
Hmm. Save
Yeah.
who 10%?
The people whose rent are going to go up like probably 50%
Hmm.
by then. So yeah, save 10% within the next 10 years. And that's what she put on Twitter as well for, to summarize it. There was nothing about putting a cap on rent. There was no kind of rent control. She also said she wants to build millions of new homes, which is kind of absurd considering there are millions of homes that people just can't simply afford to move
Hmm.
into. So yeah, these plans, these I have a plan for that. They're disconcerting at
Hmm.
best. So have people ever asked you while you're canvassing, like, who do you support?
They actually haven't asked me that yet. You'd think anybody who's really politically involved would just look at the policy sheet and know, like, instantly.
Yeah, well, I would hope so, but there's a lot of wannabes, lack of a better term, this round.
At least for me, I know Warren lost my support when she went on TYT and said that she would take corporate money in the general election. That was
Yeah.
when I knew, like, sorry, it's not going to be Warren.
Yep.
I mean, even before that,
Absolutely.
done things that gave me some doubts, but that was really the big ooh.
Yeah, the corporate money and the waffling on Medicare for all, like that alone is like those are the those are the two most important things. We're
Mm-hmm.
not going to achieve anything as long as we have big money in politics.
Mm-hmm.
So and she's taking it now as well, which is funny because her FEC records are public. But yeah, so she was kind of canceled with me. But um yes, they are parrots, correct. Do you guys have a lot of for-profit prisons where you are?
That's a great question. I'm actually not sure. I've never been to prison, so
Oh,
I'm
I
not.
was gonna say, well, that's
But
good.
I'm definitely opposed to for-profit prisons existing. They deliver, I know the argument for them is that, oh, it's the same thing, but it costs less. Except that it's not the same thing because, they are actively incentivized to make sure these people are back in prison the day after they leave prison.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a I kind of slightly digress, but do you have a um like an opioid epidemic where you are?
That's a great question. I mean, I think to an extent, it's not, I think here it's more of a meth problem than an opioid epidemic, but I mean, there's still people who have, problems with opioids and such, and it's still an issue that I want to address.
And do you support um putting those people in jail or putting them in rehab?
Definitely not jail. Rehab is always preferable to jail for drug addictions. That's why I don't support any jail for any sort of possession of any drug.
Yeah. So you do support the legalization of cannabis?
Very much so, yes.
A lot of people do. Um, so Bernie, when he was on Joe Rogan, did you see that the other
I
day?
did watch that, yes.
So he was stating that he would actually do an executive order to legalize cannabis or marijuana all throughout the country and also make the records retroactive
That'd be
so
great.
that you could just expunge, which would be ridiculously huge for people of color and poor people. So, is that something you would support as well to expunge the records of anyone who had been incarcerated for anything having to do with marijuana?
Oh, yeah, very much so. In fact, I tend to go a little bit further. I tend to support the legalization of drugs just generally because I don't think criminalizing these things actually does any good. Even for the harder stuff, putting someone in jail for it, it's not helping anybody. At least if you can bring it out into the open, people can get help more easily without worrying about being arrested.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was reading an article that was so fascinating where it was talking about how you get a federal jobs guarantee, you get a higher minimum wage, you get good health care, and crime is going to start going down because people's lives are going to get better, and people, even climate change is actually affecting people emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
So all these things are relative of each other.
Mm-hmm. And you start improving one area, it's easier to improve other areas.
Yeah, absolutely. So what, Jim? No, I'm not. Stop it. I'm I'm one of Jim's heroes. You, I get to introduce you to more people. That's really sweet. I don't know why, but thank you. Um, so what is something you want to leave our viewers with? What, first of all, give your website and Twitter and all that fun stuff.
All right, website, you already said it, justinbonner.com. My Twitter is justinbonner95. I'm sure you'll, link the Twitter and the website wherever and
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely. And what do you want them to take away from this? Also, you guys who are watching, if you know anyone, even in the state, not just the district, but please send them this, recommend, do whatever you can, because we got to get these corporate douche canoes out. Like, we have to. Even if we elect President Bernie, we need people to help him. But in any case, continue.
I guess the main thing to remember is that regardless of what you're told, better things are possible.
Right on. Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are awesome as usual. I have, let me check his name, a gentleman named Joaquin Vasquez coming on Friday. He's a candidate, DSA candidate, huge burner. And then Saturday is the debate between the three Dems going up against Palooza at 9 p.m. Eastern, which should be interesting. Pelosi has not yet responded. I don't know if she's going to show. I'm keeping it open. I haven't heard back either way, so fingers crossed. But in any case, thank you so much, Justin, for joining.
Thank you for
I know
me.
it was a long time coming.
It did take a little bit. But it's always good to get that platform to get the message out to everybody.
Absolutely. Best of luck with everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.